and picked each other up through the good times, or the bad times, and cherished the good. And I could go on and on about stories, but the thing I took away is just that there was never a doubt you would get a wonderful education at this place. There was never a doubt that you would have good support. What you didn't know going into it is what lasting memories, what lasting impact, and to be part of that and to be able to continue to participate and come back, and it's not just a joy, it's an honor and something we all need to take very seriously.
Great video to help us understand the tradition and the camaraderie of Purdue baseball. So thank you all for those that participated in that. Let's have a hand for Levy for our great dinner this evening, the folks that prepared it for us. Great job. We trust that you enjoyed dinner, continue to enjoy eating, and get your dessert and cocktails while we start the program. Every year, Purdue baseball recognizes a community member who displays qualities such as sustained involvement, compassion, selflessness, and awards them with our Community Service Award. The recipients demonstrate through their civic involvement how the quality of life in their community can be enhanced. Award winners have been active in local businesses, institutions of higher learning, and government. This year's honoree is a staple of the greater Lafayette community. A lifelong resident of West Lafayette, she has shown devotion to this community. Kathy Russell is often known as the #1 real estate agent in the Lafayette area. She began her real estate career in 1974 after graduating from Purdue University in home planning and working the building industry. After raising her 3 children, she returned to Coldwell Banker Sycamore Realty in 1989, putting heavy emphasis on further education, led Kathy to break several top-producing records, including being named one of the top 10 agents for Coldwell Banker International from 1992 through 96, and she eventually became the #1 agent. During that time, she also served as a member of Chi Omega Alumni Group and president of the Lafayette Symphony Guild. In 1998, she established her own real estate agency, Kathy Russell Team Real Estate. She now enjoys watching her children take the helm as the second generation of owners in the company she started, which has now been renamed the Russell Company. Kathy is also very loyal to Purdue University as an alum who bleeds black and gold in all that she does. She is given a scholarship at nearly every year for the past 30 years and is a 44-year member of the John Purdue Club. Mother of 3, grandmother of 8 now, she continues to emphasize learning and doing your best, helping people get what they want out of life, all while having fun. Please join me and Coach Goff in welcoming to the stage our 2024 Community Service Award winner, Kathy Russell.
I have a few notes because they said I was going to have to say something, and I was like freaking out. I don't do well without notes. But thank you. That was really nice. I didn't know I did all that stuff. All right, forgotten. It's an incredible honor. Thank you so much. I appreciate every John Purdue Club member and staff, some of whom have to put up with me constantly in the back. And all the Purdue baseball enthusiasts who make our community so special. To the inspired athletes, yay, in the back of the room, and to the wise coaches, thank you, and the unwavering fans. This award is a testament to our collective effort. Leadership isn't solo, it's a collaborative venture, and together, we've created an environment where everyone feels valued, thanks to the volunteers, the parents, and the supporters of Purdue Athletics. Your dedication is the backbone to our success, so keep it up. I'm honored to be a part of this remarkable journey, and let's continue inspiring each other, and thank you to Purdue Athletics for this recognition, and Boiler Up.
Congratulations, Kathy, and thank you. Next, Purdue Baseball would like to recognize their Alumnus of the Year. This award is bestowed upon a degree-holding Boilermaker that has demonstrated outstanding loyalty towards and continued interest in supporting Purdue athletics and Purdue baseball. The nominee must demonstrate exemplary personal integrity and stature, such that the staff, student-athletes, and alumni of Purdue University will take pride in and be inspired by his or her recognition. This year, Purdue Baseball wishes to recognize Phil Hollis, who is a 1991 graduate. Phil is currently the Executive Vice President of Helena Agri Enterprises in Memphis, Tennessee. Over Phil's 30-year career, he has contributed to Helena in the following roles: sales rep, branch manager, area manager, division manager, president and CEO of Helena Industries, and currently serves as Helena Agri Enterprises officer and board member, chairman of the board, Helena Industries, LLC. It's quite a list, Phil. Chairman of the board, APP Conversions, LLC. President and CEO of Helena Acquisition Corporation. President and CEO of Value Brand Services Company, LLC. And in his spare time, I'm sure he even fits in some golf somewhere along the way. Phil earned a Bachelor of Science from Purdue in Agricultural Economics in 1991, and he was a member of Alpha Gamma Rho fraternity, serving as the Events and Social Chair during his time as a member. During his time as a Boilermaker on the field, Phil was a 4-year letter winner, played for the U.S. international team in 1989, team captain in 1991, and was selected by the Atlanta Braves in the 1991 MLB draft. Phil is also one of 7 Purdue baseball players, third all-time, to collect a season batting average of over 400 when he batted .432 in 1991. Phil is here with his wife Florence, daughter Mackenzie, and former Boilermaker pitcher son Hunter. Along with Coach Goff, please welcome our 2024 Alumnus of the Year, Phil Hollis. Congratulations.
I haven't had hardware in a long time. I mean, no trophies or anything. My stats weren't anything like yours, though, Kathy. I mean, I may have a lot of titles, but you did a lot of work. I like it. You know, when I had the pleasure today, Hunter and I, to visit practice, and the first thing I woke up to this morning after I got my morning coffee was a text from Coach Goff basically saying, "Don't screw it up tonight. You're representing the team." And so I made some notes. First thing I want to do is thank Purdue University. I think you saw, I can't sum it up any better than my talk here a few minutes ago. Purdue means a lot in the world to me. And no matter where I go, I try to be an ambassador for that. I also try to be an ambassador for the baseball team. And all those things that were just discussed don't mean as much to me as the 4 years that I got a chance to spend here. And that time doesn't mean as much to me as the teammates that are, some of them are sitting here tonight, of the time that I shared and the camaraderie that we have and the fellowship that we continue. You know, my wife laughs, Florence, I need to thank her, but her and Kendra Kitchell and others sit back and when we come to alumni weekend and she goes, you know, probably the most fun I have of the year is watching you guys laugh like little schoolboys and tell stories. And we tell stories of what we did, how we played. It's not stats. It's around the camaraderie. It's around the kindled spirit of Purdue University and the Purdue baseball program. I want to recognize Coach Goff, and I say this with a warm heart. You know, in our business, as much as I do and as many people as I see some pretty high flyers. And, you know, we have a saying, or I try to live by a saying, and we teach our kids, people don't care how much you know. They want to know how much you care. And if you're a baseball player on this team right now, that man cares. We played for a guy who didn't show that he cared, but when you were done, he cared. And that's what makes this program different. That's what makes Coach Goff a success. That's why parents, if you're here, he comes to your house. That's why your kids come here. And I remember when Hunter's time here was, the one thing I said, how's it going? And he said, I met Coach Goff. And you put a spark in his heart, and I'm grateful for that, and the staff. Also want to thank John Madia for the work he does with the alumni. We haven't been the same since you started that. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's you know, it's a compliment. John's been a mentor of me. Those positions I've held, 1991, when I was looking for a job, he wouldn't hire me, but he gave me some pretty good advice. I think I came out okay. He said we're all full, but he was lying. I know that. Listen, I'll say this before I close to the players. I don't know how to say this, but I think everybody that's in this room that ever put on a pair of spikes or ever played baseball at Purdue wish they could go back. I know, Rex, you would feel that way. I know Tom Kitchell, Jeff Scott, the other guys I've seen here tonight. Don't miss this opportunity. It's special. You'll never get it back. In 2 weeks, you're going to start a journey that's going to be painful at times. You're going to want to coast. If you got that, we talked about this today, that midweek game, you might coast that you're playing Valpo or you're playing, don't coast. You don't get those games back. I'll trade you, call me, I'll fly you in. I'm not sure I'm going to be worth a darn, but I'll try. But I do want to tell you that, don't miss the moment. If you're playing, I know the coaches that give everything they got, they're giving it because they wish they could be in your spot. And they're just trying to give a little bit back for that. But on behalf of my family, on behalf of myself, I'm grateful and honored for this opportunity. Thank you, Coach. Thank you to Purdue, and Boiler up.
Don't leave without this, Phil. You earned it.
Hey, that's the first trophy I've had in many years.
Kathy and Phil, thank you and congratulations. Great job, both of you. And now I want to introduce you to our great speaker tonight. This evening, we're very pleased to welcome to Purdue Ryan Thompson. Ryan attended Cascade High School in Turner, Oregon. He went on to pitch for Campbell University, becoming an All-American closer for a Campbell team that qualified for the NCAA Regionals in 2014. In 2014, the Houston Astros selected Ryan in the 23rd round of the MLB draft. He went on to develop his pitching craft over the next few years in minor league baseball, moving up to the AA Montgomery Biscuits in 2019. Then in 2020, Ryan made his major league debut with the Tampa Bay Rays and helped the Rays reach the World Series. This past season, he was a key member of the bullpen for the Arizona Diamondbacks as they won the National League pennant and reached the World Series for the first time since 2001. As we welcome Ryan up here, take a look at this video on the screen, and we're glad to have you with us this evening, Ryan.
But there's one guy in particular that I kind of wanted to highlight here for this Diamondbacks bullpen, and it's Ryan Thompson, because since he got released by the Rays earlier in this year, and the Diamondbacks picked him up, and he's basically been one of the key pieces for Torrey and why he's been so effective in making these decisions to bringing these guys out. Here he is in the wild card series against the Milwaukee Brewers, the division series here against the Dodgers. Middle of the game, he's got the ability to get lefties out, but we see here, he's obviously very effective against right-handers, throwing elbows and knees at you, sinking the ball with a good slider. And then in this series, championship series, he's been, his go-to in these middle innings, against the middle of the Phillies lineup here. I mean, he's been in 7 games, 3 earned runs, 8 Ks and 3 walks. So he's around the plate, not walking guys. The other thing too, 4 holds, but 3 of which have been more than 1 inning, which is huge when Torrey's making those decisions about bringing out his starter and bringing in bullpen guys a little bit sooner. So Ryan Thompson's been huge for Torrey and this Diamondbacks team because he's been able to throw those big innings in the middle of the game to be able to bridge that gap to get to the...
Thank you. I just want to, thank Coach Goff for inviting me here. Something that everyone in here probably already knows or you will learn, that when Coach Goff asks you to do something, you say yes. And there's a reason for that. He's not someone you want to say no to, because when you get to know him, he's like family. Coach Goff, he's so special to me in my heart, and I mean that. He didn't pay me to say that. He, outside of my family, he's probably one of the most favorite people that I have in my life. And I wish that we were able to talk more than we do. Our lives are so crazy. But it's a real honor to be here. The fact of the matter is that Coach Goff changed my life, and he may not realize that. But my time at Campbell, set my life on a different path. It really did. And so I'm so passionate about a lot of things. I'm so passionate about college baseball. I'm so passionate about college in general. I'm always an advocate for players to go to college and not to go to pro ball right out of high school. I'm a huge advocate of that. I really don't care how much money you're getting because, and I'm going to touch on this later, money, it does not matter in the end. It doesn't. It's great to have. It makes your life a little bit more comfortable. But the things that really matter, those are the things that you learn here in college that you don't learn in pro ball, that you learn under a man like Coach Goff. And so for me to be able to be here and be able to speak on college, to be able to speak on baseball, and I'm also going to speak on my faith. It is something that when Coach Goff first met me, I was nowhere near a believer. I could honestly say I hated God. I had no interest in it. And now here, probably 15 years later, whatever it is, 10 years later, I'm in my third term of seminary school. And so I say that to say, well, I am going to bring up some biblical principles and some Bible stories today, mostly just because that's the way I think now. And to make my point, that's where I go. But more than that, it's to tell you the journey that I've had, that I've gone from somebody that is completely different than the person I am today. And so I just want to tell my story, and I want to tell it honestly. You know, my goal here isn't to, you know, that video was awesome, right? It was all of my good highlights. You missed the bad ones. Whoever edited that was great. But when I tell my story, you know, I'm not going to leave out the bad, because that's not the truth. You know, I could talk to you about all the good times. I could give you all the good stories. I can tell you about all the fun games I had. But what does that get you, right? That's just fun for me to say and potentially fun for you to hear. What I want to speak about tonight is the life lessons that I've learned throughout my journey, that Coach Goff and Campbell University taught me, that minor league baseball and the struggle taught me, that my journey to the big leagues taught me. And hopefully somebody in this crowd here tonight maybe hears something that I say and they feel something similar to what I was feeling and what I have overcome. You know, when I watch movies, some of my favorite movies are the ones that aren't chronologically like it's not necessarily perfectly in the line, right? There's this movie called Memento where it starts in the end, and then by the end of the movie it's the beginning. And it's really fascinating because you don't need a chronology to be able to explain a theme or a story, right? You don't need it to be perfectly in line. So my story, I want to start after college, and then I'll work my way back. After I left Campbell, I got drafted in 2014. I was ecstatic. I basically got offered a plane ticket if I wanted to play professional baseball. Everyone else around me was making millions, if not hundreds of thousands. But I was just eager. That plane ticket was all that I wanted. But the first day that I was there, we had a chapel. And I wasn't really all that interested in chapel. But my journey through Campbell really brought me closer to the Lord without me necessarily realizing it. You know, we prayed before every practice. We prayed before every game. We put our arms around each other as a unit, and we did that. And I wasn't a believer, but I believed in that for some reason. It was something that made me feel good. It was something that made me feel connected to my teammates. It was something that felt like there was something extra worth fighting for, and I didn't really understand it. And so when I had this opportunity to go to chapel, I was like, okay, I'll check it out. We'll see what happens. I'll see what they got to say. So I show up to chapel, and lo and behold, the chaplain doesn't show up. And so our hitting coach steps in, and he's like panicking. He's like, I'll come up with something, right? And so his message was, baseball's not who you are, it's just what you do. It's basically all he said. I stood there in shock. Like, I could not believe what I was hearing. It was so obvious. But I had been living my entire life as if baseball was my identity. So if baseball, because it hit me right in the mouth, baseball's not who I am. It's never been who I am, but I've been living as if it is. So if baseball is not who I am, then who am I? So let's go back to my story. So my story begins probably when I'm about 12 years old. I felt like I had the world at my fingertips. I had the perfect family. I really did. It was like a sitcom family. My dad was the president of the Little League. My dad was the coach in every sport. He was the hardworking electrician, worked overtime, came home, took me to practice. He was awesome. My mom, she was the most respected and loved teacher at the junior high. My sister, she was the one in the band. I was the athlete. We had the best family. One day, my parents call me in the living room, and they're getting a divorce. That shook my world. Made me feel like I had been living a lie. And at that time, when I was 12 or 13 years old, right around there, I had, without even really making the decision, I had gone on autopilot syndrome. I had been trying to flee from my pain. I didn't know what was real and what was fake anymore. I decided that I would hide behind humor. I decided that I would just kind of live and find things that I could find, that I could put my identity in, because I didn't feel like I had one. Baseball was that. My dad, he wanted to be a professional baseball player, and for a bunch of reasons, he wasn't. And since I was 5 years old, he had been instilling that into me, that I would live out that dream for him. And I loved my dad. I would do anything for my dad. And so I pursued that dream together, me and him. It was our mission. And thus, baseball became my identity. In high school, playing baseball, I was dominant. I was absolutely dominant. Probably struck out 15 guys a game in a 7-inning ball game. I thought I was destined for the major leagues. I'm going to get drafted. If not, I'm going to go to all the D1s I could ever ask for. I'm going to, I can have my pick. Nobody ever called. And it was really confusing to me. Like, why am I not getting any calls? And it was disheartening. It was more pain. It made me feel like, well, all my dreams are it's just a pipe dream. Little did I know how the system worked, and it's just not how it works. You got to work for it. You got to earn it. But I thought I could just have it. And so, luckily, not that I cared all that much about grades, but I got lucky enough to be able to go to Chemeketa Community College in Oregon for 2 years for free. I think you had to have a 3.5 to get that scholarship. I had like a 3.51. So I go to Chemeketa just for free, just see what happens. And all of a sudden, all these little opportunities started popping up. I got to go play summer ball in Alaska. Got to go play summer ball in Kansas. And then I get to go be a part of the showcase game, where all these scouts get to show up and watch you face 4 batters. And that's all they get to be able to evaluate you. I pitch against these 4 batters, and I give up 4 hits. I thought, man, like there's that. And, I get a few calls, and surprisingly, I thought I wouldn't. And one of the biggest calls I got is I was so determined to play Division I. And I get a call from Liberty University. It was really the only serious Division I offer I had at the time, and I was too intimidated by the whole Christian thing. I was too intimidated by that. I didn't want to go there. I didn't want to have to confront that. But I was probably going to commit there because that was my only choice. Until I got a call from Coach McCarty at Campbell, and I've probably had 30 calls from Division IIIs and NAIAs. And I just thought Campbell was one of those. I'd never heard of it before. And Coach McCarty's going on and on and on, and I'm just tuning him out, just trying to show him respect, not telling him that I don't want it, I don't have any interest. And at the end of the call, he's like, so we're a D1 in the Big South Conference. I'm like, whoa. Like, repeat everything you just said? Sorry about that. And so, make this part of the story, long story short, I commit to Campbell University without ever visiting the campus. And it was crazy then, it's crazy now thinking about it. I visited everywhere else I thought I wanted to go, but not Campbell. And Campbell was a Christian school too, but it didn't intimidate me there. You know, back then, I didn't understand it, but now, being on the other side, I get that the Holy Spirit was pushing me to go to Campbell University. So I show up to Campbell University, and I felt like, at least Coach Goff and Coach McCarty made me feel this way, that I was somewhat of a high-profile signing. Coach Goff, one of the first things he said to me was, "You ready to be our Friday night guy?" You know, it's probably half a joke, but, you know, I was like, heck yeah, like, whatever you need, like, I'm your guy. And so I felt like, you know, this is going to be easy, you know, like I'm back on track. And so we have this junction week. Right when we show up, we have this junction week. It's basically Hell Week. Starts on Monday, goes all week long. And we have a little warm-up on Saturday, the weekend before. So we have like a little team meeting, and then we go on this casual 3-mile jog. So the summer before, I played in Kansas, my host family used to take me to Walmart and say, "Put whatever you want in the cart." And I took advantage. I'd never had that privilege before as a kid, so I put microwave pizzas and Coke and Oreos and everything I could think of. There was nothing healthy in that cart. And so now I show up to Campbell right after that, going on this casual 3-mile jog. And we go, and I'm just like, oh yeah, it's easy. I get probably, you know, first half mile going, and then I just hit a wall. Everyone is just like getting smaller and smaller and smaller in front of me. And I refuse to walk. I would not walk. But I'm like, just like, I'm probably jogging slower than a walk. And by the time I get to the end, I see they're already finishing up their team meeting. They forgot about me. And I'm just like, look, guys. And I remember Coach Goff looking, he goes, "Who is that?" He's looking at me, he said, "This guy's slower than Michael Griffin?" And so I show up, and like I cannot believe I didn't collapse that day. That was just the beginning. On Monday, when Hell Week started, I was in for it. I was in for it. I didn't belong there. I really didn't. I didn't belong. I was maybe a fifth of the athlete of every other person that was on that team. I was just trying to run a track lap, and coaches are asking me if I have asthma. And I'm like, yeah. They're like, "Where's your inhaler?" And I'm like, I don't have it. You know, like trying to make up any excuse to make it seem like I'm not that bad, trying to pretend like I belong there. But I'm telling you, I would barely stumble back to my apartment after conditioning, and I would collapse on my bed, and I would just leave a big old sweat stain on my bed, and my roommates would wake me up. Gotta go to weightlifting now. Gotta go to weightlifting. I was like, oh, okay. Go over to weightlifting and get crushed in weightlifting. And I would come home, and I'm just beaten. I'm bruised. My ego is destroyed, and I'm calling my dad, and I'm telling him, "Dad, I don't know if I can do this. Like, this is too hard. I don't think I can do this." And my dad, being understanding, he said, "It's okay if you can come home." And that hit me really hard. I was doing this more for my dad than I was doing it for me. And he was telling me, "Son, it's okay." That lit another fire under me to say, you know what, I'm going to do it one more day for my dad. So I made it one more day. And Tuesday was even worse than Monday. Had the same phone call. Wednesday was even worse than Tuesday. Had the same phone call. I really didn't belong there. I was frustrated. I didn't know where to go from there. I really thought I was going to quit. But then, after I persevered just a couple days, the next week came, and that next week was a little bit easier. And then I started to get stronger. And then I started to get better at everything that I was doing, and I started seeing results. And not did I not belong there anymore, but now I started to see, okay, maybe I can be a part of this. And what Campbell brought to me was more than just a place for me to showcase my skills, but it was a family. What I went through in that conditioning, in that hell week, it taught me a lesson. It taught me a lesson that your will can be stronger than your body and can be stronger than your mind. And my will to continue, and this is something that I think I need to emphasize, because there's a lot of good athletes in this room, and I'm not sure those good athletes can really sympathize with what I'm saying. I know everyone in here works hard, and everyone in there pushes themselves. But as we got closer to the season, I started to gain ground. I was no longer the last. I was more towards the middle of the pack. And in some things, I was inching towards the front of the pack. And so this is a challenge to all you players out here. Some of this conditioning is going to be easier for you than some. But when you see somebody that's working so hard that they can hardly walk, somebody that's throwing up in the bucket, push yourself to do the same. You might have to run more. You might have to run harder than that person is running. But it doesn't mean just because that guy is puking and that guy is collapsing that he's not working as hard as you are. He's working harder than you. And guess what? He's going to catch up to you. And he just went through something. He just endured something that taught him that he can accomplish anything. And that's what I learned at Campbell. I learned that no matter what comes at me in this game, that I can accomplish it. I can overcome it. That my will is stronger than my mind and my body. Campbell was a second family for me. Coach Goff, he always told us that we're teammates for life. And it was fun to say. We would always say it, teammates for life. We're brothers, teammates for life. You don't necessarily realize it in the moment, but it's 100% fact that everybody that I've ever played with at Campbell, they're my family. I would take a bullet for them. And when you're here and you endure what you go through in the fall, and you look at the guy next to you and you see him going through the same thing, there's a respect. There's a love for that guy. And when you go to war with this guy against your rivals, against Indiana, against all your Big Ten rivals that you face, where you guys want the championship, it hurts watching your rival hold the trophy when you're on the sideline. In 2013, that's what we experienced. We experienced sitting in the room, waiting for our name to get called to make the tournament. We were 49-10, waiting for our name to rightfully get called, and we didn't get called. And we had all of our rivals that we had a better record than get called instead. That is a knife. After everything that we went through for that to happen. So remember that. My journey at Campbell, I went from somebody that didn't belong there. I was a kid that went from a small town in Oregon of 1,100 people with no stoplight to somebody here that was capable of making a difference. And that was through the structure that Coach Goff had assembled. It was through the culture that he had assembled there at Campbell. It was somewhere where there's no room for somebody who's not bought in. One cancer can ruin an entire team. It can bring down everybody and can bring down the whole team. We didn't have a single one of those. We had everybody that was willing to do whatever it took just to win one more game. We had people that cared more about the team than themselves. We had a team that would sacrifice their own stats and their own standing just for that one extra win. And that's why we won 49 games. And I believe it, that year that we would have went to the World Series. I believe that. If we had that chance, we would have went there. So that year was my best year in college. I had a .88 ERA. I led the nation in that stat. I think I had 10 saves, 9 wins, through 88 innings. And, I I expected a phone call on draft day, and I didn't get it. I didn't even get a call. I led the whole nation in ERA, and I didn't get a call. I didn't know why. So my senior year, I came back, and I had a little bit more of a chip on my shoulder. I wanted to prove that, for one, that I was worth the call at least. Like, maybe you don't offer me, but just the call, just the offer, right? If .88 ERA doesn't get an offer, then what's it going to take? And so this year, we had an even bigger chip on our shoulder, individually and as a team. And this was a year that we wrote history for Campbell, not only making it to a regional, but we won the first regional game in program history. Those are the memories that I cherish. And that is one of the massive things that I want to share today is that, guys, I've been to 2 World Series. Pretty special stuff. But the stuff that I remember the most is sometimes those at-bats in the fall against my own team. Those are the things that I remember the most. I can't remember the sequence of pitches that I threw to Shohei Ohtani, but I can remember the sequence of pitches I threw to Michael Felton in a fall scrimmage. There's something special about college. There's something special about what you do here as a family and what you go through and the life lessons that you learn and the growth that you overcome. So in 2014, I get drafted. I get drafted in the 23rd round, like I mentioned. Fast forward a couple years, I kind of took it year by year. Would kind of trickle my way through the system. So in 2016 was the year where I had finally surrendered myself to the Lord. It was a slow burn. It was a slow burn of trying to figure out who I was. I knew that baseball wasn't my identity, but I didn't know where to go from there. I wasn't connected with a church, with a chaplain, with a pastor. But in 2016, I was living a worldly, fleshly life. I found myself one night crying in my shower. It was 4 a.m. I was drunk. I had just slept with someone I didn't know. And it was completely against my character, but it was something that was easy for me to do. And I found myself in my shower, bawling my eyes out. My first instinct, I don't know why, was to call out to the Lord, and he answered. And so that's why I'm here, and I'm so passionate to speak about the Lord, because I've experienced him. I can argue with you about certain details, but I know he exists because I've experienced him. And so my story can't be told without that part of my journey. And so from that point on, I still had skepticisms in my mind, but I knew that he was real in my heart. And so fast forward to 2018, I had my Tommy John surgery. At that point in time, I got up to AAA, got my teeth kicked in. I couldn't get anybody out. I had like a 15 ERA, and my career was about to get blown up. And at that point in time, I really looked at myself in the mirror and I said, you know, what do I got to do? So I started throwing as hard as I could, ended up having Tommy John. And coming back from that Tommy John, I finally had a year away from the game. I was consumed with the game, knowing that baseball wasn't my identity, but it still consumed me. The year away was when I finally got connected with a church. I took a full approach at my life of looking at, you know what, I'm fat, I'm out of shape. I'm being complacent in my relationships. I'm being a bad son. I'm being a bad boyfriend. I'm being all these things. It's time to clean it all up. And so in my rehab year was the year where I finally made myself major league material. I didn't belong, once again, but I channeled what I had learned in college, what Coach Goff has taught me, to get me to that next step. I learned that a purpose-driven life is the only life in professional sports. That I learned that doing things just because someone tells you to do them It's fickle. Doing things, learning the reasons why you do them is the only way to succeed. And so I did that, and I cleaned up my life. I dropped 40 pounds. I was no longer bottom half in all the drills. I was now the best. I put a standard that I hadn't channeled since college to where I could make this push to the major leagues. In 2019, I got healthy. In 2020, I got my first major league camp invite. In 2020, I showed up to spring training and I dominated. I really did. I had never really proved myself on the grand stage before, and I dominated. I felt like my chance was finally out on my fingertips, and then COVID shut down the world. I felt like I was this close. And so at this point, I've been a Christian for 4 years. I have agreed to surrender my life to the Lord. I had a girlfriend who loved me that I knew was a gift from God. I have a loving family. I was in a great place. But the consumption of the unknown of COVID and not knowing what my career had held after I had put everything I possibly could in front of it to make my debut. So COVID shut down. Anything that was in my way, I decided to get rid of. I was no longer relentless. I was ruthless. I broke up with my girlfriend. I repetitively stole my mom's keys because she was a PE teacher, and I would sneak in the weight room at the high school to lift at 1 a.m. when the janitors were gone. I was doing every last thing that I could to get just one step closer. I couldn't come to birthday parties. I couldn't come to weddings. I couldn't show up to anything because it was going to get in the way of my training. Was it really? Probably not. But that was my excuse because I had to give it everything I had, everything and more. And so 2020, we finally come back. It was about 2 months, not 2 weeks of slow spread. It was like 2-3 months. It turned into 2 years. But anyways, 2 months later, we come back. We call it summer camp. It's not spring training anymore. It's summer camp. And so in summer camp, I show up and I pick up right where I left off because I was training that whole time. Everyone else was, in their living room. I was training that whole time. And I showed up and I was the best guy for the job. Colin Poche hurt his arm and the rosters expanded from 26 to 28 and I got put on the team. I was about to make my debut. I had that phone call, the one I had been envisioning since I was 5 years old, that Thompson, you're going to the big leagues. I thought at this moment I was going to drop to my knees and start crying. But I didn't. I just looked at the camera and I said, okay, let's go. And I felt like I deserved it. I felt like I put in the work. I deserved this. It was a feeling that I didn't expect to feel. So then I make my debut. And I thought that would be the moment that would give me that fulfillment, that euphoria, that feeling that I had been searching my whole life. It didn't give it. So now what's next? So then I pitch for the next 2 months and have a good rookie season. I accomplish all the feats that I had wanted. We get to the playoffs. I pitched 9 times in the playoffs. Never once gave me that feeling. We get all the way to the World Series in my rookie year. And I stand on the field and I do the standard 360 to look around, to take in the moment. I never felt that. I just remember looking around and thinking, that's weird. So I pitch again in the World Series, I do it again. Never felt it. We lose in 6 games to the Dodgers, and I head home. 3 days after the World Series, I'm on a flight. I feel fine. It was a bummer we lost, but it's not a big deal. We'll get them next year. That was kind of my approach. I'm on a flight back home. In public, I break down. I don't think I've ever cried in public before in my life. And I just start crying. And I couldn't explain it. It was just like emotions were just pouring out of me, right? And so I get home and I tried to process it. And it took me probably a week, but it hit me that I was seeking fulfillment in a place that doesn't offer fulfillment. Baseball cannot fulfill you. That is my purpose to tell you today, that nothing of this world can fulfill you, okay? I learned that. So there's a character in the Bible, his name's Solomon, okay? He's a king of Israel. And God speaks with him before he becomes king. He says, Solomon, what would you like? I'll give you anything in the world that you ask for. Solomon says, I would like wisdom to better rule your people. So God says, okay, since you asked for that, I will give you that. But I was expecting you to ask for wealth and fame. But because that you asked for wisdom, I'm going to give you wisdom, fame, and money. I'm going to give you all of it. So Solomon, he became one of the most powerful, one of the most notorious, one of the most amazing kings that the ancient world had ever known. And this is historical fact. All the other ancient civilizations can confirm that they at least viewed him as wise and as rich and as famous. And so Solomon, what's interesting is he had everything. Everyone wanted to be like Solomon. Everyone wanted to be Solomon. But Solomon, he wrote this book called Ecclesiastes. And the purpose of Ecclesiastes, or the message of Ecclesiastes, he says that everything is Hebel. Hebel's a Hebrew word. And all of our translations, they try to define what Hebel is. Is it vanity? Is it worthlessness? Is it meaninglessness? Is it futile? But really what Hebel means is it's like the effects of smoke, right? That smoke looks real, but when you grab it, there's nothing there, right? Like if I had a pipe right now and I smoked it, you would see it, and it seems like it's there. But right when I reach out for it, it disappears. Solomon says that wealth, he says, see, I wrote them down. Solomon says that wealth, career, status, fame, pleasure, all of these things are Hebel. They're transient. You can't take these with you when you die. These are the things that we constantly seek in our lives, that we think it's going to give us fulfillment when it doesn't offer that. We think it's right there, right? It's like a mirage. You see it on the horizon and you chase it with everything you have because you think it's going to give you what you want, and you get there and it was just a mirage. Okay? So what does Solomon say is the purpose of life? Solomon tells us that the purpose of life is to eat, drink, be merry, fear God, and keep his commandments. So what does that mean? Eat, drink, and be merry. That's joy. He's not saying do what you want when you want. He's saying when you are working, experience joy. When you are pursuing whatever it is in your life, experience joy while you do it. Because when you pursue wealth for the sake of wealth, that steals your joy. When you're working, that steals your joy when you work for the purpose of work. When you're seeking pleasure, Monday always comes. That is futile. That is Hebel. So Solomon says, make joy the focus, okay? He says, fear God. Have reverence for something that is greater than you. You're not your own God. And keep his commandments. Jesus summarized the commandments, that is, love your neighbor as yourself and love God. So it's love, it's joy, it's reverence. These are the things that Solomon says is the purpose of life. So my question to the players on this team is, do you have what it takes to be great? But more than that, do you have what it takes to be great and be a great person? This is what Coach Goff taught me at Campbell. He doesn't want to just make good athletes, good players. He wants to make good people. That's what he did to me. When I showed up to Campbell, I needed him. I needed that program. I was lost. And by the time I left there, I was a 2-time All-American, that I still had a long ways to go. But he put me in the right direction. Coach Goff, he taught us the Marine mentality at Campbell. He taught us that, you leave no one behind, that these teammates, like, not only are they your brothers, but you're willing to die for these guys. That's how much they mean to you. And that's how much they do mean to me. That's how much Coach Goff means to me. You know, I remember a couple stories when we played Radford. I was sick as a dog. I got some sort of flu, and it was coming out both ends bad, like for like 5-6 days, and I couldn't eat. I had lost like 17, 18 pounds, and I'm trying to perform, you know, at the Division I level, and I can't do it. And you know, I wanted to be a good teammate. That was something that I always cared about. I wanted to always be there for my friends. And so I have my ex-girlfriend's mom drive me to Radford just so I can be there for the team. And Coach Goff, he comes up to me and says, "Hey, we need you tonight." And I'm like, "Coach, like, I didn't eat anything in a week." And he says, "Thompson, we need you tonight." And hearing Coach say that, there was never a question. I was going to make myself available to pitch that day. And I did pitch that day. I pitched 5 innings that day. And I think we lost in extra innings. But that's what that program was all about, and that's what this program is all about. It's about putting the team first. Another story, when I got hit in the elbow by Aaron Vogt's hardest ball he ever hit in his life in BP, right? Hit me in the elbow. My elbow was swollen like a softball was stuck in it. And our trainer, I basically lived in his hotel room, and he was treating me for around the clock just to help me be available for the Big South tournament. And I wasn't very good, but I showed up and I pitched. And that's the epitome of what Coach Goff brings to these programs. So to the players on this team, guys, I know what you've been through because I've been through it. I know what you guys have been through this fall, and I know how it trained me. So know that you've been trained, that you guys are prepared for this season. You guys have been adequately trained. That means that there's no spot that you're going to face that's too big for you. That means that there's no situation that's too hard for you that's going to come. That means that no weather is too cold, it's too hard, it's too wet, it's too rainy. There's no workload that's too heavy. The lights are never too bright. Remember your training, guys. There's nothing that you can't do. Your will is stronger than your body and is stronger than your mind. But most importantly, and I mean this, I don't mean to bring a depressive mood to the evening, but never let your pursuit of something in this world steal your joy. It is way more powerful when you do it with joy. And when I learned these lessons, it was like a weight off of my shoulders. I was able to perform free. I was able to perform for the sake of my teammates, not for the sake of trying to accomplish something. I was able to be a better leader. I was able to be a better friend. I was able to be a better son. Just because I learned that these physical things cannot give you joy. So when you guys go through this season, let your shoulders down. Enjoy it, but relentlessly pursue it. Go for it. Give it everything you got. Because as you said earlier, sir, this is the best time of your life. I'm telling you right now, I'm about to start my 5th year in Major League Baseball. And I reminisce about my college time. It was the best. I was here at practice today, and I wish that I was out there. I should have been out there. I brought my glove. I should have been out there. Man, like I wanted to be out there so bad. Like just seeing how much you guys cared. Like this team has passion. I can see it. And of course they do. They play for you. This team's got it. This team has got the special energy that it takes to win. But now, are you looking at yourself in the mirror, or are you looking at the guy next to you? Are you doing everything that it takes to help the guy next to you succeed? That's what it's going to take to win a championship. It's when your buddy is hurting, you're hurting. When your buddy succeeds, you succeed. It's looking out for the unity as a whole and the culture that Coach Goff brings, the relentlessness that he just builds in you. And then with that, you not only change your life like it changed mine, but you change a program. Campbell went from a school that had bleachers like it was, a 7th grade soccer game, to now it has some of the most state-of-the-art, amazing facility at a mid-major you can imagine. And that's because of what Coach Goff brought to that program. I'm really excited for you guys this year. I really am. I was pumped to see what I saw out there today, and gosh, I wish I could be out there with you. Just remember that these times, they're beautiful. They really are. This is the time when you're going to grow more than any other time. And this is the time that you're going to look back on the most. Make the most of every single second that you have. I'm praying for you guys. I'm wishing you guys nothing but the best. And go whoop that Hoosier butt. Thank you guys for having me.
Ryan, thank you very much. That's a great way to get things rolling for our 2024 Boilermakers to be introduced to you right now. We're going to have our student athletes, support staff, and coaches stand. And please hold your applause to the end as each group as we introduce them. Let's start with our Boilermakers. Mike Bolton, Jr., a 5th year out of Chicago, Illinois. Ty Gill, a junior from Valparaiso, Indiana. Joe Stevens, a senior from Mount Cola, Australia. Luke Wagner, senior, New Cumberland, Pennsylvania. Thomas Green, grad student from Courtenay, British Columbia. Weston Gingrich, senior, Carmel, Indiana. Camden Gasser, redshirt sophomore, Huntingburg, Indiana. Davis Pratt, senior, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Camden Melvin, junior, Avon, Indiana. Logan Sutter, junior, Loomis, California. Cal Lambert, senior, Peoria, Arizona. Keenan Taylor, senior, Westfield, Indiana. Breck Novick, redshirt junior, Lake Forest, Illinois. Will Moore, freshman, Crevcoeur, Missouri. Lucas Cook, senior, Knoxville, Tennessee. Jonathan Blackwell, senior, Charleston, West Virginia. Jackson Danley, senior, Comasneal, Texas. Cooper Kornblum, senior, Woodway, Texas. Easton Story, freshman, Brighton, Michigan. Amir Gray, freshman, South Holland, Illinois. Braden Olson, freshman, St. Croix Falls, Wisconsin. Cole Van Assen, freshman, Tinley Park, Illinois. Aaron Suval, senior, Agora Hills, California. Ennis Hayden, junior, Indianapolis, Indiana. Kyle Owinski, senior, Griffith, Indiana. C.J. Backer, senior, Newburgh, Indiana. Parker Dean, redshirt freshman, Rushville, Indiana. Corbin Malott, redshirt freshman, Newcastle, Indiana. Connor Cascanet, senior, Duncan, British Columbia. Carter Dorn, junior, Schererville, Indiana. Jordan Morales, graduate from Souderton, Pennsylvania. Mac Lewis, freshman, Vienna, Virginia. Aaron Dolney, graduate, Plymouth, Michigan. Brody Chrisman, redshirt freshman, Zionsville, Indiana. Chase Brown, Jr., Ennis, Texas. Avery Cook, redshirt senior, Utica, New York. Keenan Spence, Jr., Caroline Springs, Australia. Griffin Lohman, redshirt junior, Fishers, Indiana. Luke Gaffney, redshirt freshman, Danville, Kentucky. Will Briggs, freshman, Shakopee, Minnesota. The 2024 Boilermakers. Thank you, gentlemen. You can have a seat back at your tables. Next, an integral part of our operations, our managers. If our managers that are here would please stand and be recognized. A big part of our team, our student managers. There you are, right in the back. Look at all of them. Our Purdue athletic support staff keeps us moving and operating efficiently. Will the members of our support staff please stand and be recognized? Thank you very much. Last but certainly not least, I'd like to introduce you to the Purdue baseball coaching staff. Our sport administrator is Dr. Ed Howitt. Our Director of Player Development, John Madia. Our Supervisor of Operations, Hunter Roberts. Assistant Coach, Chris Marks. Assistant Coach, Josh Newman. Assistant Coach, Seth LaRue. And you'll get to clap for him twice here, our head coach, Greg Goff. That's our Boilermakers for this season. Now keep an eye on the screen here for a quick video before I introduce Coach Goff.
On the ground, right past Leger, down the line, fair ball. Extra bases for Kornblum. Swing and a miss, strike three. And Nowinski with his second strikeout today. Strike three.
0-2 pitch. This one launched to deep left. Going back is a slidey, looks up and it's gone. Two-run home run for Cascadettes. Seagal's 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss.
And they look up. This one's out of here.
Back at the wall, and the Purdue Boilermakers are going to walk it off. Lucas Cook at the wall, gone, and Connor Cascadet leaves the yard.
The most career stolen bases in Purdue history, 71 for Mike Bolton Jr.
Yeah, we're going to hear a lot more of that. Love those pinstripes. Let's meet our head coach now. His 7th year with the program, his 5th year as our head coach with a lifelong passion for baseball. We look forward to seeing where he's going to lead our Boilermakers this season. Your head baseball coach, Greg Goff.
My goodness, this is awesome. Y'all ready for some Purdue baseball? Let's go. Wake up. Wake up out there. Thank y'all so much for being here. It just humbles me to be the head coach here at Purdue, to be honest with you. To see this full house again, another sellout crowd, is just absolutely awesome for me. I'm just so thankful, very humbled to be the head coach here. I'm so thankful for all your support and what you do every day. It's just absolutely awesome. Kathy, I just want to congratulate you on what you do for our program. It's just awesome to have you in our community and what you do. Thank you so much for that. Phil, again, what an awesome honor it is to have you here and your family and Hunter and everybody. Your wife is definitely the better part of your family, so thank you for that. Thank you for being here. But just want to congratulate you guys on what a great honor that you guys were able to go this year with. It's pretty exciting. You know, as we go through the season, as we get ready for the season, it's just exciting to know that we start off with our first pitch dinner and all the people here that's excited about it. But the one thing I want to recognize before I get to talking here is just if you played baseball here for the university, would you please stand up and let us recognize you as former Boilermakers that have made this program what it is today. So please, Purdue baseball players, former baseball players, would you please stand up, let us recognize you. Thank you guys so much. It's just an honor to be here, to have you guys with us. Tom, I can't believe he didn't tell you any more stories. I can't believe Phil let you off the hook there tonight, I guess, with all the stories and stuff. So thank you for all being here tonight. And Bo, thank you for flying in and being a part of this thing and being so supportive of all you guys have been absolutely awesome with this, and just so thankful for you. Thank you so much. Another thing I want to talk about, and then we'll wrap this thing up. I got a scrimmage tomorrow, so we got to get out here and get some rest. I want to thank Ryan too for coming up. Ryan, again, he may. I found this out. You can't win the Kentucky Derby with a bunch of mules. And this guy was a thoroughbred through and through. He came and changed our program. I used to tell everybody, Ryan, to be there. There'll be Friday night guys. I think all these guys will probably say that too. So just to get them to sign. Pretty good recruiter. Lambeau, you agree with that? Yeah. I used to tell them all, Friday night, baby, just come on. We'll figure it out. I'm glad you showed up, big boy. I made me a better coach, I can tell you that. All I had to do was give that guy the ball, and that thing was over with. So just want to thank you for coming out. I can't say enough about what you mean in my life. And as most people know, spring training is coming. He had to change a lot of things for his schedule just to be a part of this tonight. And I just want to thank you for your story, your career, and being here tonight for us. Thank you, buddy. Really appreciate that. A couple of things that we talk about being Boilermakers. One is being selfless. Okay, I'm very proud of this group of guys. I think you'll see that when we crank up here in February. But one thing that we ask them is to be selfless. And these guys have did a tremendous job of serving this community. Just since we started in August, I just want to make sure these numbers are correct because John will get mad at me if we don't. But 525 hours of community service this baseball team has done since August. Pretty awesome. Guys, I want to thank you. So we ask them to be selfless, and they've done that in every regard. It's pretty incredible that they've done that. The next thing that we ask them to do is be good in the classroom. Be good in the classroom. Purdue's hard. I don't think I would have got my degree from Purdue. I don't know if I would have got in or not, to be honest with you. Delta State, anybody heard of Delta State? Not many, just a few. Cleveland, Mississippi. Yeah, so it's pretty good. You guys sitting out there with those degrees, that's awesome. I respect you for that. When I start telling these guys about how to go to class and all that, they ask me, well, Coach, did you go to class? And my wife says, no, I got the degree, not him. Okay? So she got 2 degrees, not 1. Okay? But we talk about being great in the classroom. Being great in the classroom. These guys this fall had a 3.2 GPA, the highest in over 10 years here for Purdue baseball. I'm pretty proud of that as well. 9 guys had a 3.2 or better, and 28 guys, over half of our team, had a 3.0 or better. So just things that we are very proud of with that. And then the last thing is just win. We break every day about win. We talk about it all the time. It's ready for this program to take the next step. And this is a group that we believe can do that. Ryan came in at Campbell at a time where we were trying to build the program and get the program where it is. And we had to have special players like himself. And now we have those special players. And this group that UCI is sitting there with today, I can just tell you, they show up every day. They work extremely hard. They're so coachable. And I can tell you this, they're going to represent you in the utmost way this year. I can't wait for you guys to watch and see them. It's been fun. It's just fun out there today. I tell you what, it was so fun to sit out there and to watch them practice and so forth. And in a few 3 weeks from today, we better be 1-0. Right, guys? Yes, we better be 1-0. Or my wife won't be calling me probably. She won't ever call me until we win. So we got to make sure we're 1-0 as we've been starting. So I just want to, again, thank everybody. I can't say enough about this group of guys. I can't say enough about my coaching staff and their families and what they do. Our support staff, from the academics, from Stephanie with compliance, and all the people that we have here. That's why we feel like as we move this program forward, it's all here to win a national championship, to win the Big Ten, and to be competitive every year in the top 3 or 4 of this league. And I just want to thank you again for all your support and what you're doing here. It is so awesome to walk around in the airport. When we get on the airport, all you hear is Boiler Up as we go down the airport, because they are so proud of all the Boilermakers that are out there and what you're doing every day for us. It's just amazing. And I just can't thank you guys enough for that. We're going to finish up here with Nate here, but I just want to, again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for what you do. Thank you for allowing me to be the head coach here and to be a Boilermaker. It's awesome to do that. It's a dream come true for me. I live it every day No other place I would rather be is right here in the black and gold and representing this university. February 16th, I think, is our opening day in Sugar Land, Texas. Please, if you can't make it, watch us, listen to us. I know Kyle Charters will be on that plane with us and ready to rock and roll. But I just want to thank you guys again for what an awesome night, for what you've done for our program. Ryan's going to be over here if you want to shake his hand and get an autograph. It's pretty awesome to have him tonight. What a special guy. But I want to thank you guys again for so much, everything you do. See you guys in February out here at Alexander. Boiler up.
Thank you, Coach. A couple of housekeeping items before you go. We hope you will join us Sunday, February 11th, before the Super Bowl for Fan Fest Day. That promises to be a great day. And alumni, we want to see you back here on April 20th for Alumni Day this spring. Now, for more information about getting your tickets at beautiful Alexander Field, visit PurdueSports.com to get those locked in. And as Coach mentioned, Ryan's going to be near the back exit for a meet and greet if you would like to meet Ryan after the program ends. We thank each and every one of you for joining us tonight, supporting the Purdue baseball program. On behalf of Coach Goff and our entire staff, drive safely. We'll see you at Alexander Field. Boiler up. Hail Purdue. Have a great evening.